In a small town where people lived simple lives, there was a young man named Adil who always felt that something was missing in his life. He had dreams of becoming successful, of living with purpose, of leaving behind a life that mattered. But every time he tried to take a big step, he failed. He would start something new with great energy, but within weeks, he lost motivation, gave up, and went back to his old habits. He would often wonder if there was some secret formula that successful people had that he didn't tease. He thought maybe it was talent, or luck, or some big opportunity that never came his way. But one day, his life began to change because of something very small. Something so simple that at first he didn't even realize its importance. Adil lived in a rented room near the old marketplace. Every morning, he woke up late, sometimes just minutes before rushing to his small job at a printing shop. He would leave his bed unmade, leave dishes in the sink, and grab a quick tea from the shop near the bus stop before heading to work. Life was routine, repetitive, and uninspiring. He dreamed of becoming someone more. Perhaps starting his own business or writing a book one day. But he never managed to start. His mind was full of excuses. He was too tired, too busy, too unlucky, too ordinary. One evening, while sitting on a bench in the town park, he noticed an elderly man named Kareem, who was sweeping the same small path every day without fail. Even when no one else cared, the old man would pick up fallen leaves, collect wrappers, and make the path clean. Adil asked him one day why he did it. The old man smiled and said, "I cannot clean the whole town, but I can clean the part that I pass every day." Small habits, my boy, make a big difference in the long run. Life is not changed by one big step, but by the little steps you take every single day. The words struck Adil deeply. For the first time, he realized that maybe he was looking at life the wrong way. He had always been waiting for some big change, some sudden opportunity, but maybe the real transformation was hidden in the little things he ignored. That night, he decided to test this idea. He told himself, "I will not try to change my entire life overnight, but I will start with just one small habit." The next morning, he forced himself to wake up 15 minutes earlier and make his bed. It felt silly at first. What difference does a bed make? But when he returned home in the evening, he noticed something strange. The sight of a neat bed gave him a small sense of order, a tiny spark of pride. It was nothing big, but it made him feel slightly more in control. The next day, he did it again, and then again, until it became natural. Encouraged, he decided to add one more habit. He began to drink a full glass of water after waking up. He had read somewhere that it helps the body and the mind. Within a few days, he felt fresher in the mornings. After a week, he added another, writing down 3 things he was grateful for each night before sleeping. At first, it was hard. His mind was used to complaining, not appreciating, but slowly, he found himself noticing little blessings. The taste of hot tea on a cold day, a kind word from a stranger, the laughter of children in the street. His perspective began to shift. Weeks turned into months. Adil started carrying a notebook with him to jot down ideas. Instead of scrolling endlessly on his phone during bus rides, he began to read short articles or practiced English vocabulary. These were small changes, but over time, his mind felt sharper. His confidence grew. And people around him noticed something different in his behavior. His employer at the printing shop asked him to take more responsibility because he seemed more reliable. One evening, Adil returned to the park and saw old Kareem again sweeping the path. He thanked him and said, "Your words changed my life." Kareem chuckled and said, "I only reminded you of what you already knew. You see, habits are like seeds. Plant them, water them, and one day you will stand under the shade of a tree you grew yourself." Encouraged, Adil started to challenge himself with slightly bigger habits. He began walking for 20 minutes every morning. At first it was tiring, but soon it became enjoyable. He used those walks to think about his goals. He also reduced the time he spent gossiping with friends, replacing it with learning new skills online. He realized he could study graphic design, something that was connected to his printing job. With consistent practice, he became good at it. Clients who came to the shop started requesting him personally because they liked his creative designs. The owner of the shop noticed this too and offered him a small partnership. This was the first real opportunity Adil had longed for, and it came not because of luck, but because of the small habits he had built over months. With extra income, he rented a better room, and for the first time in years, he felt proud of himself. But life is never a straight road. There came a time when he lost his biggest client, and his income dropped. Suddenly, old fears came back, and for a few days, he felt like giving up again. But this time, something was different. His habits had built resilience inside him. Instead of drowning in negativity, he kept his small practices alive, waking early, making his bed, walking, reading, writing, gratitude. These small actions reminded him that he was still in control of himself, even if he couldn't control everything around him. Slowly, he rebuilt his client base and became stronger. Years passed, and Adil became known in his town, not only as a skilled designer but also as a wise and disciplined man. People often asked him the secret of his growth. He would smile and repeat what Kareem once told him. Small habits change your life. Don't wait for the big opportunity. Start with what you can do today, however small it may seem. One day, Adil went to visit Kareem at his small house near the edge of town. The old man was frail but still cheerful. Adil told him how far he had come and how his advice had guided him. Kareem looked at him with gentle eyes and said, "My son, remember, habits are not just about success, they are about character. The world measures you by what you achieve, but life measures you by who you become. Never stop growing." Those words stayed with Adil forever. He began to teach younger boys in his community about the power of small habits. He told them stories of how he started with nothing. How even a simple habit like drinking water or making a bed had changed the way he saw himself. Some of the boys listened casually, but a few took his advice seriously and began to improve their own lives. One of them was a boy named Imran, who was known for being careless and lazy. He used to skip school, waste time in useless talk, and dream of becoming rich without working hard. But when he heard Adil's story, he decided to try one small thing. He promised himself to read for just 10 minutes a day. At first, he struggled, but slowly, that habit grew. Within a year, he was one of the best students in his class. Seeing Imran's change reminded Adil of his own journey. He realized that small habits were not just personal tools, but seeds that could spread into the lives of others, multiplying their impact. What began as a simple act of making a bed had now touched many lives. By the time Adil reached middle age, he had built a respectable business and was financially stable. But more importantly, he had built a life of meaning. He had discovered that real transformation doesn't come from sudden miracles, but from daily choices, repeated consistently. He became a mentor to many, always emphasizing that even when life feels overwhelming, you can always start small. And whenever he passed through the park and saw the clean path, he remembered the old man who swept leaves every day, teaching him that greatness often hides in the ordinary, and that small habits can indeed change a life forever.